Welcome to day 412 of our DSO journey. I'm Ed Krasenstein, here with my twin brother, Brian. And remember, these videos are being sponsored by NFT Tech. They are an investor in DSOFi. And Brian, I have good news. I've got a new mic.
Finally, wait, I gotta celebrate this. Hold on.
So there's actually a lot to talk about today. First, let's get to today's diamond question of the day, though.
Yeah, so to answer this question for some diamonds, we'll give 3 or 4 diamonds. Just reply under this video on DSO on any of the nodes. And today's question is, if you could give Nader, the founder of DSO, one piece of advice, what would it be? And I think as the DSO price hits new all-time lows day after day after day, I think my piece of advice would be, don't even pay attention to the price right now. Just keep doing what you're doing. Another piece of advice I think would be, try and pay a little bit more attention to the community, to the members that have made this community so great, as well as the developers. I know, like, speaking to some of the developers, there's a lot of frustration. I know that he's busy. I know that he's overwhelmed. I know that they're looking to hire a chief business officer who should take on the brunt of some of that stuff. But I think there definitely is a feeling of neglect. So that's just one of the things. And I know a lot of it's out of his control.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say just put your head down and keep working. When the market picks up, you're going to be right there with the rest of the cryptos. But talking about the market, Bitcoin actually fell down to, I think, like in the $25,000 region last night, which is a low we haven't seen in years. So that was kind of startling, I guess, and it's kind of taking the rest of the crypto space down with it. DSO fell down to, I think the low was $7.98 last night. It's rebounded since. It's at about $9.71, with Bitcoin standing at about 28,300 right now.
Yeah, the price of DSO is really unbelievable. We're sitting at a market cap at around, I don't know, about when it was at $8 or so, it was around $90 million. Right now, it's probably about $110 million, which is well under the cash they have on hand at the DSO Foundation, which I estimate now that the price of Bitcoin dropped is probably closer to $150 million, because a portion of that is in Bitcoin. But I think that if you believe in DSO, there's not going to be much of a better opportunity than now to get involved if you want to buy the coin. Not investment advice at all. It could definitely go lower. I didn't think it would go this low. I didn't even think it would come close to this low. I was thinking maybe like 15 or 16 was a low. But if you believe in the technology, if you believe where things are going, if you believe in Nader and what he's doing, I don't think it can hurt to get in right now. A lot of the people that wonder, like, how did these people get so rich on crypto? And it's that they bought when everybody else was afraid to buy.
Yeah, I mean, technically, the DSO Foundation could say, okay, we're giving up now. We're going to take our treasury, and anybody who owns DSO, we're going to pay you back, but according to the amount of DSO you own, and you would get more than $7.98. So, it's interesting to think about. They have more money on hand than the market capital right now is worth. So, I think it's a good buy, but this isn't investment advice at all. Take it for what it's worth. But in other news, there was a big blog post put out by DSO yesterday, Brian.
Yeah, the blog post was titled "The Blockchain Business Model Explained." And basically the blockchain business model, it talked about how traditional Web2 platforms are relying on traffic to sell ads against it. And they basically take your data and create this walled garden around that data. And then the data is an asset that's able to attract revenue for the companies, for these corporations like Twitter, Facebook, I mean, even Google and all these other Web2 platforms that are relying on advertising. The blockchain business model, on the other hand, as the blog post put it, relies mainly on fees. And what this does is the data remains open because the more people that build on top of that data, the more people that come into the ecosystem and the more fees that can be captured by the various nodes. So that's the difference between the two business models. I think that a lot of the people that are going to be running DeSo nodes, they're going to rely on fees, but they're also going to rely on other ways to generate revenue. And some of it might be advertising. Like, I don't rule out that some nodes won't charge for premium spots or banner
I'm
ads
still
for
a
any
fan
number
of
of
I'm
things.
still a fan of advertising. Like, I think that's
Yeah,
a great
but
way to generate
I
revenue.
think if the advertising is done where it's not taking the data and using the data as an asset to generate the ad revenue, I think it's fine. And I think there's plenty of opportunity for this as nodes start to differentiate themselves from one another.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, it was a great blog post. I think it was very informative for people both on DeSo and outside of DeSo. Definitely give it a read if you haven't yet. The link is above this post on DeSo. But OverClout, they had a huge announcement yesterday, or I guess it was last night or early this morning. They're becoming a DAO. And this is like a really extraordinary instance where they're becoming a full-fledged DAO. It's a company that's becoming a full-fledged DAO. You don't really see this. I don't know if we've seen this yet, where a company has been set up as a company and then they decide we're going to just go full DAO. And by this, I mean the entire community-owned DAO that OverClout that OverClout's going to have is going to the team's going to have to participate in it as well by buying tokens, just like everyone else. So, Don Hardman and team put OverClout together, and what do they get out of it? They had to buy the same tokens as everybody else. So I think this is awesome. The way they're doing this is really awesome because anyone can now become, an owner of OverClout in the same boat as the owners are right now. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying because they're going to have to actually buy their own DAO coins, right?
Yeah, so they're not getting it because they're the owners. They're not getting a preset amount of DAO
Right.
tokens. They're giving up all their ownership, and they're going to have to buy in just like everyone else. So the pre-sale stage of the DAO is going to start soon. It's going to be in NFTs. NFTs are going to be used for the pre-sale, just like we saw with supernovas and with DAO. This is coming soon, any day now. It could be today even. The pre-sale is going to last for a week until the hard fork initiates and DAO launches. The community is going to be able to decide on features to prioritize. They're going to vote on decisions. They're going to receive DAO coins for improving open source to OverClout. So that's really cool as well. And there's going to be many, many more options of many, many more opportunities to obtain DAO tokens. But the way it's going to work is there's going to be 100 million DAO coins created for OverClout. 0.5%, half a percent, will be allocated to the creator coin holders of OverClout. 12.5% will be open source developer funds. So that's going to be going to the open source developer fund. 7.5% is going to be a creator activity fund. So if you're active on OverClout, you're going to be able to earn DAO tokens just by being active on the platform. 4.5% will be allocated to a referral program fund. So, you're going to be able to refer people and own DAO tokens that way. 5% is going to be the community pre-sale. And then 70% is going to be the DAO community sale. So this is awesome. This is something I think is a great experiment to see how it works out. And it's going to be interesting to see how it works out with a crypto market in a severe bear market right now. Are people going to be interested in buying DAO coins? Are they going to be like so down that they're going to, kind of hold off? I don't know.
Yeah, I love this though. I love the fact that 12.5% of the DAO coins are going to actually be distributed among the open source development community. So those who are actually giving back to OverClout, helping build OverClout are going to get a portion of these DAO coins. Also creators, I love that creators are going to get 7.5% of the allocated DAO coins. Creator activity funds. So those who are active on OverClout, it's giving people an incentive to use OverClout. It's giving developers an incentive to build on OverClout. I love it. I think it's actually a brilliant idea. Now, I don't know how much money they're going to take in from the community sale. I hope that it's a lot because what Don is doing is incredible. I think that the market's really down right now, so it's a tough market. But I think overall, this is a brilliant idea, and I think we could see other DAOs form in this manner. And I'd like to see the actual legal framework of how they set this company up, as I think it could be a model for other companies moving forward.
That's an interesting point. I wonder if they got help from DAO in setting it up, or if they're doing it all by themselves.
Yeah.
Anyhow, in other news, DeSo Messenger made a new hire. They hired Chris Tran. His username is Chris Tran on DeSo as a product manager. And they noted that this is the 7th member of the team. I didn't realize that their team was that big or had grown to be that big. 7 members are now developing DeSo Messenger. So Chris is an experienced fintech designer, and he's going to be part of what the team's working on. And they refer to what they're creating is a wallet to wallet communication. So, I think it's going to truly revolutionize messaging on mobile apps and on computers. The ability to, have this wallet to wallet experience where you can transfer DeSo, you can diamond, you can, have NFTs integrated into the messenger. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they create. And with Chris on board, I'm sure that's going to be pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I think DeSo Messenger is really important to this ecosystem, to the whole protocol, because it really opens up a lot of possibilities. I think other nodes are going to be able to integrate DeSo Messenger into them. I think that what they're doing is just super important. And I didn't realize the team was this large either. I hope that's a good sign that we're going to see a lot of developments in the next few months.
Yeah. And Natter confirmed that there's some issues going on with Gringot's Wizarding Bank. Of course, Gringot is the account that sends you DeSo when you buy it on Diamond app or when you buy it on BitClout. So there's some issues because Gringot actually ran out of DeSo, or ran out of money to exchange. And Natter just wanted to make sure everybody knows that the DeSo Foundation has replenished the DeSo in this account. And if it runs out again, they will continue to do so. He did say if you get the message that says wallet balance is below Nano's purchased, it just means that Gringot needs to be replenished again. But don't worry, your money is safe, and you will be receiving that money as soon as Gringot gets replenished.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting market for DeSo right now. If you actually check out Coinbase, which is pretty much the only like major exchange that you can actually buy and sell it and trade it, the volume is pretty low. If you wanted to come in and spend $20,000 on DeSo right now, I think you'd probably move the price up 50%. That's how thin the market is right now. There's not too many sellers at this level, but there's also not too many buyers apparently either. So yeah, I think it's an interesting dynamic. One person putting in $50,000 could really move things back up to like $20 or so. So even though the price is diminished, I think there's a lot of opportunity if you kind of can sit on the bid and wait for people to fill your order. If you're going to try buying at the ask, it's going to take out a substantial amount of headroom, I guess you could say, on the way up. So just something to consider.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about the psychology. Like, why aren't there a lot of sellers and why aren't there a lot of buyers? I imagine there's not a lot of sellers because the price has fallen so much that people feel like they're getting, pennies on the dollar when they bought it back, when it was in the $50 to $200 range. So I think people are just like, okay, it's not worth selling at this point. It's either going to go to zero or it's going to shoot back up. Is it really worth taking such a huge loss? So I don't think people are selling because of that. Now, as far as buyers go, though, I think people are just scared. They've lost so much in Bitcoin. They've lost so much in Ethereum. They've lost so much in Solana and all these other cryptos that, everything's low and we don't know how much lower it can fall. Do we go to a war with Russia? Is there a World War III? Does inflation not come down? Maybe it starts going back up. We don't know. And I think there's so many questions that people just are reluctant to buy cryptocurrency right now, let alone a new cryptocurrency that has yet to establish itself.
Well, yeah. And like we saw how easy it went from like $30 to $8. So people in their mind are thinking, yeah, I mean, if I buy it at $10, it could easily fall to like 3 and I could lose 70% of my
It could
investment.
also go back up to 30.
Right, exactly. And as for the crypto market, I think that a lot is kind of hanging on inflation. And I think the market right now is overly worried about inflation. I think that there's going to be something called the wealth effect, where people lose a lot of money, the stock markets go down, crypto markets go down, world markets go down, people start spending less. And as people start spending less, the amount of inflation is going to sort of start to level off, because companies aren't going to be able to charge as much. There's not going to be as much demand. So I think over the next month or two, I think we're going to see inflation kind of settle down a little bit.
I think it's so intertwined and everything's so interconnected with one another. Like, for example, the DAO, that's connected to inflation. We saw inflation, it did come down a little bit in the last month, but it's still at 8.3%, which is extraordinarily high. And people assume that if inflation remains high, the Fed's going to increase interest rates. And if the Fed increases interest rates, that's going to make people less likely to buy stocks. They're going to, buy bonds and whatnot. So that would cause the DAO to fall even more. And Bitcoin's tied to the DAO in so many ways.
I would say it's more tied to the NASDAQ
2 years.
I'd say it's more tied to the NASDAQ than the DAO. It's tied to the tech companies. The DAO is a little bit more independent, but I think all the markets are somewhat tied.
So, they're all tied together. And then we have this dark cloud over in Eastern Europe with Russia, and, Finland and Sweden are looking to potentially join NATO. And people look at that as, if they join NATO, Russia's going to be mad and they're going to show their strength. So they're going to, potentially create a world war by attacking a NATO nation. And that's going to, have huge effects on the stock market, which would have huge effects on the crypto market. And, it's like this cycle, and people are just scared. And, there has to be a bottom at some point, but don't let anybody tell you they know where the bottom is. There's levels of support, that you'll see in the DAO and the NASDAQ and Bitcoin, but we've broken several levels of support already.
Yeah, and Bitcoin's holding steady over 28,000 right now. So I think last night's drop, I think that was pretty fast, pretty significant. You usually see that at a bottom. I'm not saying it's at all bottom, but it could be. And we'll see what happens over the course of the next week or two. But right now it's scary in the crypto market, especially.
Yeah, for sure. So you want to move on? GD Virtual Galleries had a huge announcement yesterday.
Yeah, so we mentioned it before that they were meeting with NBA Top Shot, and they're going to work with them. Well, yesterday, GDS said that they're actually going to the NBA. We're going to the NBA, baby, he said. And they're bringing a series of GD virtual experiences for Top Shot and the NBA. Also, NBA Top Shot's going to be sponsoring the GD Virtual Gallery launch, which is really incredible. I just got to give a shout out to GDS. Probably one of the hardest working guys I've seen on DSO. Hopefully he can leverage some of this and create some awareness about DSO. But way to go, man. You're doing a great job, working hard. I know I've given some others some heat for taking the Octane Fund money and not really doing much. Like GDS is the exact opposite.
Yeah, he's been working his butt off. And so is DeSocial World, who has just selected, and this is in regards to GDS as well. DeSocial World has just selected a new set of NFTs that will be featured in their upcoming GD virtual galleries. So they're working with GDS as well. GDS is doing everything, I guess, to create these galleries. And this coming GDS virtual gallery on DeSocial World, part of their collaboration is going to feature some new artists, some new individuals who have NFTs that they're submitting. And those include Pixel Angelo, Lil Over, Yuchi, Leopold Ploner, Pebble People, Dr. Maz, Photography by Michelle, The Junkyard Waltz, Zoran, NFT Andrea Magical, Anna Khan 5, Michelle Lourdes, Senator, Nimal Yas, and The Devil. So Michelle Lourdes is actually up there twice with her Photography by Michelle and her own account. And the music for the gallery is going to be from St. Lane's, another DSO OG, I guess you could say.
I was
So,
just talking to him yesterday.
so yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait to see the new gallery. I love what D Social World and Ado are doing in collaboration with GDS.
Yeah, two great people, two great projects. I hope we see more GDSs and D social worlds coming to DSO over the course of the next several months to build here.
Yeah. So what were the top hashtags for the last 24 hours, Brian?
Yeah, it's a boring list. Number one was DSO, followed by NFT, then crypto, then Bitcoin, and then photography. So it's all ones we've seen before, but photography, check it out. There's always some great photos on DSO.
Yeah. And what were the top diamonded creators in the last 24 hours, according to Open
Yeah, so
Prosper?
the top diamond earners. Natter was number one, made several posts actually, followed by Photographer's Corner, MP3, our good friend, Krasenstein Us, followed by Stargazer, ZN Mead, Michelle Lord, Joe Jerome, Elgin, Dr. Rob, and Mr. Triplet, who we had on our show yesterday with Scott Page. And I also want to give a shout out to Joe Jerome, who's up here. Joe is very engageable. He really adds a lot of content to our post, to other people's posts. I love his feedback. He's not afraid to say what has to be said. So just wanted to give him a shout out.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I love his post. So welcome back to, there's two people who came back to DSO after an absence of over 30 days that I thought was noteworthy. Danny with a lot of Eugene. He's a DSO OG who's been around since, the very beginning. He had a 41-day absence from DSO though. He came back and he made a ton of posts, ton of replies. He gave out diamonds, he gave out likes, and he even bought a bunch of DSO. He said he was buying in at a low price. He bought 29.87 DSO worth of his own coin, and then he went ahead and bought 17.48 DSO worth of Game 7's coin. And Danny, of course, 41 days ago had sold a bunch of DSO and exited, and it was almost as if he was giving up on DSO, but he's back, and it seems like he's super excited about DSO again. So welcome back, Danny. Glad to have you back. Hopefully you stick around. And also,
Sure.
Cyrus Abraham came back, but this is more of a sadder story, I guess you could say. He came back, but he came back to leave. He came back to sell a bunch of his own coin, a bunch of other creators' coins, and then he out exchanged 44.44 DSO and officially said goodbye to the DSO community via a post. Cyrus was great. I think he holds the record for the amount of times he came onto our show. He's really great with NFTs. He's just a really great guy to hang out with and talk to. It's sad to see him go.
Yeah, I mean his whole thing was NFTs. His whole expertise was NFTs. The DSO NFT market is pretty dry right now. There's not much going on with DSO NFTs. I'm sure that's going to change in the future, but right now I don't blame him for concentrating on Ethereum. I hope he regrets selling his DSO, not for his sake, but just for everybody else's sake. But I have a feeling we'll see him again.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's all the news we have for today. Let me know what you think of my new mic. Can you hear me better? Is there less echoing? And be sure to answer the diamond question of the day. I think that's all we have for today. Brian's actually traveling the next 3 days, so we'll have to see how this goes with videos. I might be doing some by myself. Maybe I'll have somebody join me. Maybe Brian will show up. Who knows? But talk to everybody later.